What's going on? So this took honestly longer than it needed to be. But yeah, this is my first official solo clear of any dungeon besides Prophecy, but Prophecy is kind of free. So, but yeah, this was kind of a long time coming. Never really gave it a full attempt until this grapple melee build came out, and with the help of Ride of the Nine, having Navigator, doing a Catalyst run, just kind of all the things. I started playing around with it, and I mean, it's fun. It's awesome. You'll probably see here, like, we're starting at the Ogre. I did not record the first little, transversal part, just kind of the whole opening, but it's, if you've watching this video, you've definitely already seen or done this dungeon several times. I will say that this was not that hard, not as hard as I in my head had it out that it would be. This was not flawless by any means, but we can talk about that later in the video. But just kind of go over the build. Navigator for damage phases, along with just the pressable shotgun tier 5 that you get from doing Mythic Kepler Quest. I've got a chill inhibitor here. It's actually the first one that I got. Came with the Envious Arsenal and Envious Assassin. So already the God roll build, a roll that you want on that. I didn't really use it a whole lot, only when I started to get a little sketched out on these damage phases from either missing a grapple or just getting a little too close to the boss. But yeah, I mean, this ultimately was a lot of fun for me to do. I've been playing since D1, week 2, played beta, but I can probably speak for a lot of people. This just never really put myself to the test. And I've just I've had this in the back of my mind. I really just wanted to get in and just sit down and put myself to it. So I did. I did not have an video for Solo Flawless. Although I do have the ability, I will say after doing this, this dungeon's so easy. I believe the only time that I actually died, not on this boss, so on final, was never because of damage, like being killed by ads or even the boss. But every time was jumping in line of a drag or vandal and just getting knocked down. And that was just pretty annoying. But you can see just setting up the damage phase here. This whole dungeon is pretty straightforward. This is pretty scuffed, but I can't remember if this was a good damage phase or not. But I mean, you can just see that the grapple, I mean, it's hitting for 4,700, and that's, I don't even know if I have combination blow times 3 right there, but yeah, I mean, shield inhibitor coming out, it does decent damage. Like, ultimately, I didn't have to run grapple melee for this. I probably could have ran this and just very much focused on that envious roll, but grapple melee is fun. If you haven't tried it out yet, you're really just stacking into first grenade, so your grenadier armor types, and then secondary would be melee. To my understanding, it's across the board additive. I know that last week they patched the Verity, or say patched, they changed it where it was multiplicative. It's now additive on top. I could not get a Verity roll, much like most people, which was, a little frustrating. Zero was not kind to me, on top of just running patrol in the Pale Heart. Several drops, but none with, or a couple of Verity. But I was looking for Inmost Verity. Just never got it. The role I'm now looking for now, since they patched that, will be an Inmost Liar. It is reaching probably the most, it's definitely the most damage output you can have with exotic class items and just this build. But The class item I'm running here for this video is Inmost Certarachne. My dog was barking and being very annoying. I don't know if that was picked up in the audio, but yeah, Inmost Certarachne, just for that woven mail. It's just nice little damage resistance on top of the Shield Crush artifact perk, which is just really nice for some extra damage. And with that, grapple melee works very well because I'm getting woven mail just by doing that. And it's such a key part of this build. Besides that, just running, I can't think of the artifact or whatever it's called. Winter Shroud. Just running that for some debuff and invis on top of it, which, is helpful. I don't think it's extremely necessary. You could run Ascension here. But, the problem with Ascension, it kind of kills everything. So you're not necessarily proccing Combination Blow as much. And if you're thinking I get the 2-phase here, you would be wrong. I do believe I go for a 3-phase because I missed a grapple. Yeah, that's right. So missing grapple here, pretty scuffed. It's kind of annoying, but with that, it's just like, okay. And missed another one. So at this point, it's just, all right, let me just get as much damage as I can on him without dying, and I'll get extremely close here. A little nerve-wracking. Just trying to knock him down for an easy 3-phase. But yeah, like I said, this run is by no means perfect, and there's plenty of perfect runs out there, but this was my first actual attempt, and thankfully my first attempt I got it. But it's been really fun. I don't necessarily know where I'm going to go from here. I want to keep, oh my god, why is he up here? That freaked me out. I do remember this part. He did that a couple times. I just don't think I've ever seen him jump up there, and it kind of jump scares you. But I definitely want to get through some more dungeons. I just haven't put myself to do Pit of Heresy. It's super easy, or Shattered Throne, but they're also just kind of boring. But I might just make a quick video on that. But anyways, this is going to just kind of be a compilation, if anything, of the encounters done right. I've cut out all the wipes and everything. It's a long video. I wanted to show all of my gameplay that I've got from it. But yeah, that's about it. Tether here is really nice. It comes in handy really just in any damage phase, but also kind of Stylus Executioner for a little bit of extra damage output, which is always helpful. But yeah, I think I'm going to cut this recording here as far as the audio goes and pick back up in the next encounter. But thanks for watching. I'll just kind of talk through what happens next and where I was at, what was kind of going through my mind, what the struggles were, and then just from there. So yeah, thanks for watching. All right, we're back, and I am extremely ashamed to say how long this took. This was a solid 20, 25 minutes for, I don't even know, maybe like a minute and a half, 2 minutes worth of actual gameplay. I didn't watch any. I've done this dungeon plenty of times. Not solo, but when it came out and getting the Gallhorn stuff. It's just I didn't remember what the mines were. Tried to use different sparrows at one point, and I was struggling so much. I was like, okay, I've just got to really lock in. And it took me several tries for two reasons. First, my sparrow kept getting destroyed. So as you see, I'm hopping off and refreshing that. And then this mine right here, I kept forgetting about it every time I get this far. And I'm like, okay, I'm just not going to make this. I'd get to this point and then blow up, which is just frustrating. But I think it's pretty cool. I remember the first time doing this, and it's just it's so fun. This dungeon itself was just so fun when it first came out. But if you didn't know, the secret chest is right up here. There are two. One in the little circle room where you're jumping around, activating consoles right before the ogre boss. But yeah, this is the second one. And from here, we're moving on to the, I can't remember what it's called, but just the servitor encounter, which is pretty straightforward. Did it first try. I could not remember exactly all the mechanics to it. Knew the base mechanics, but couldn't remember if there was a set pattern to where they spawned or if it was random, yada yada. But yeah, this encounter, like I said, this build, you're getting it with an artifact on just the class, not the class, but on the super build and everything. You're getting health regen, automatic off of powered ability kills. So it's hard to die. Now in game content, if you're playing Mythic difficulty, it's a little more frustrating. I would say. Also, right here, could not figure this out, which is kind of funny. I was like, okay, are you gonna pull me? No, okay, maybe again. But you have to stand underneath it, which I learned. I did learn. But yeah, so it did take me a couple of tries. But at this point, I was just kind of glad to be not in the ogre encounter. But with the health regen on top of woven mail, you're chilling. Like if you haven't tried this yet, you don't even really have to have a perfect class item. The inmost part, I'm not going to say is necessary, but it helps so much. And then just the woven mail Certarachne is just so, it's like cherry on top, So really helps. But the Fallen Shield here, this is probably took me the longest of just like mindlessly running around. So this part's pretty boring. I'd say throw it 2x speed and let it get through. But kind of the point of this encounter is just filling up the crystals as in every other encounter, and then dropping the shield on a servitor, pushing the server's dead body to essentially just destroy parts of the shield. And that is right there in the middle. This counter's fun. I mean, it's different, I feel. Can't think of anything else that's necessarily like this. The just control of ads in this, like you're not, like when I jump to a platform, every platform's not covered in just dregs running around everywhere. So, but at this point, I'm looking around for the server, trying to figure out where he's at, jumping from platform to platform. But yeah, I would love to hear from anyone watching this video. First, what you think. I am playing on PS5. I would love to get a PC. Money's a little tight, but we're saving up. It's going to be a while. I just think this will be fun. And the whole point of making this video is just, throw something out there that I did that I'm proud of, and kind of give me a little bit more of like, all right, there's more to do in this game that I can enjoy. Was part of it, but I don't have a whole lot of people to play with already. As most people in the Destiny community have jumped from LFG to LFG, from Discord to Discord. Just looking for a group of people that I can consistently play with, and that's just been hard to find. Out of all of my friends, I am the only one, and have always been the only person to play Destiny, and I have stuck it out, being a glorified solo player. But I would love if anyone who is watching this far into the video would like to hop on and play sometime. I'm going to leave my Bungie name, whatever, in the description. Just hit me up. I mean, honestly, I'd love to play at some point. And there's a lot of things that I'm not too familiar with, like Sundered, for example. That's gonna be a learning curve, as well as Mr. Toast, and just trying to get through those sort of activities. I have not attempted Desert Perpetual yet, as much as I would like to. I've just been kind of waiting to see if there's some fun people to play with, to run through that. Yeah, if that's something that maybe anybody out there would like to do, or just even walk through. I'm not looking for anybody, know what to do, clutch or kick kind of vibe, nothing like that. That's all lame to me. But yeah, that's about it. Just kind of having fun with this. Hopefully I can be able to save up for a PC and actually make like some decent-ish videos at some point. Also, if you have any like cool PC builds, hit me up with that too. I know nothing about this stuff, so that would be extremely helpful. But yeah. Okay, well, that's all I got. I'm going to pop back in for Final Boss, kind of talk through that for a bit. But again, thanks for listening. And here we are, final boss. This did not take. This definitely took less attempts than the ogre, and not because the ogre was like hard, but I just kept having bad melees and just let it getting too close to the boss, or just wasn't really paying attention, wasn't locked in. I will say the most frustrating part about this boss fight is just not getting a good damage phase, and then having to re-kill the Vandal and the Shank in the middle. They're chunky even on normal, and that's just frustrating. I took plenty of attempts just trying to figure out how I wanted to run this whole build and how to lead into damage. And so what you'll see is kind of immediately after the Shank and the Vandal in the middle die. I can't remember on the first attempt. There were a couple attempts where I kind of ran a little differently. I'd rather go and grab the Burden of Riches buff from the middle and insert. You need 60 total engrams in order to start damage phase. So you can get 10 from killing the Vandal, and then you can pick up the others on the side just by using the cannon on the little deposit things. But, apart from that, I just kind of stuck to the side to start every run. But using Outbreak here, it's just good, man. You really can't beat it for a primary. It does good damage. Rewind rounds. You just can't go wrong with them. So Yeah, running that. But after I kind of finish these guys off, I switch over to Navigator because I'm not really using a gun for ad clear, and I'm not really worried about it. So just trying to stack ammo either on the ground and not pick it up, or just switching Navigator and having that on hand, so I don't have to switch right before damage. But yeah, this is it's gonna look. This is the same kind of damage rotation from the ogre boss. It's just tether, grapple point, shotgun, grapple melee. I will say if you haven't really used this build, and like I'm playing on controller, so I had to really up my sensitivity from what it was. I think I bumped up like 2 or 3 points on that. And that was it definitely helps when you're something with the tracking on controller with the aim assist and everything. It's really easy to get kind of pulled in to an enemy that's right in front of you. So having that sensitivity up, just it's easier to switch off, and you just look up to your grapple point for the most part. So I guess I didn't immediately switch, but I do at some point switch over to Navigator. I will say also Navigator kind of eats just for ad clear. Not a big user of trace rifles, never have been, but I like it. It's been fun to kind of play around with. If you didn't know, Ride of the Nine, just by completing a dungeon, even Eternity, which is like the easiest mode, there's no darkness zones or anything. You could choose one of the dungeon exotics. So pick that up because I just, as much as I farmed the Ghost of the Deep final boss, it never dropped. But yeah, apart from that, damage is pretty easy here. Just kind of stacking up. I'm at 30, so this is kind of where I wanted to be going into damage phases, or at least in this part. Yeah. So I can't remember exactly what light level I was when this happened. This was a couple days ago now, but I have since sort of started my grind, trying to get to 350, and it's just not going to happen before Solstice is over, which is a little tough. So I will not be getting any free tier 5s, but I'm hoping to pick up some good tier 4s within the next 2 weeks and really just focusing this build to being better. I want to say I'm running 136 grenade, like 86 melee, and 68 class. Which the class, not too worried about that. Like I'm getting my melee back with every dodge, and that also just comes in part with having Inmost, just kind of speeding that up a little bit. So I honestly think I can probably go lower than 68. I haven't really tested it out, but I have not gotten any good grenade pieces. And I figured that's just a lot because of my tier drops. So, tier 3 is only dropping like, I want to say 66 to 68. The tier 4s are somewhere like 71 from what I've seen. So, just kind of waiting on that. I'm excited to get to tier 5 at some point because there's just a lot more build crafting with that. But, yeah. Anyways, I would say that this DLC... Also, let me just jump in here. I'm only picking it up right at 30. Trying to stack combination blow here. Just keep it alive. I'm only picking up 30 because if I were to get more, this happened several times, I go to damage the boss and I still have burdened by riches. And it screws me over. I still have it, and then I'm like rushing to get back to middle to deposit the buff. before I die. Because if you let it get to 0, you're just shot dead. So, learned that lesson. Yeah, we're just going to tether here. I'm really enjoying the DLC. When I started playing Destiny 1, it was a daily grind. You get on, you do your heroic mission of the day, and kind of go from there. But yeah, it's been fun. Everybody's already talked about this, so I'm not gonna beat a dead horse. But there's just not enough in the portal, besides solo ops and some pinnacle stuff. And I don't inherently mind that. I think it's fine. It's a little painful when, I'm just that's the only thing there is to do, and it feels like, oh, I have to do this, but I know I don't have to. I solo grasp, so there are other things in the game still. Shout out to Bungie for fixing the vibrancy on the destinations tab for sure, because God, that looked awful. But I think it's fun. I think the direction that they're going is going to be interesting to see. Having played for so long, I really only took one big break, and that was Season of the Plunder. Yeah, with the whole thing with Spider, and then the season with the Menagerie. Those were the only 2 times that I really was not playing Destiny 2. So I've seen a lot of these just kind of patterns that Bungie has taken over the years. I think this feels new, and they feel excited about it. Now, I think it was Sweatsickle said this, but it's something I truly believe. They overdid the power grind with this DLC drop on purpose. 100% believe that. They did that just so, for one, the intention of it, so people would be talking about it. And then when Ash and Iron comes out and they do the whole catch-up mechanic type deal, it's like, oh my gosh, everybody's playing now because it's easier. So you're drawing people back in with a promise of, hey, now you can get all this stuff for less work, on top of the new update. So yeah, it's definitely, they cater to a higher audience, which or a smaller audience, and I'm all for that. Kind of building a game for the masses, you gotta divvy some parts of it to, you're not. I'm not gonna say content creator community. That's what the buzz has been all about. But I'm not on that train. I think it's just, you're building a game that you want people to play. You want people to work hard for. And if people don't want to put the work in, then they can play easier activities. That's the whole thing with, you look back at Grandmaster Nightfalls, when they first come out, it was some top tier difficulty. And we had Nightfalls in Destiny 1, and some were pretty hard. But then you had others Devil's Lair that was extremely soloable. Or even look at it from a raid standpoint, Crota. Just go from a raid that I was in, I don't even know, 9th grade, soloing every Tuesday afternoon, in an hour, and that was just taking it slow. It's yeah, that was supposed to be in-game content. But then with Age of Triumph, they redid it. They made it harder. And they made it more interesting. They made it, so much so that you had to pay attention to what you were doing. And I kind of think to Dark Souls. If you, there is a certain Dark Souls archetype within Destiny. If you don't like playing Dark Souls, you don't do those types of activity. If you don't like Dark Souls, you don't like how hard it is, then you just don't play Dark Souls. That's just kind of it. I'm not saying don't play the game. I think there's a lot of accessibility. Now, obviously, new players, it's still tough. I tried to pull a really close friend of mine into the game, and we got halfway through Lightfall campaign, and it clicked for him somewhat. But it's not super straightforward. There's just so much that I'm realizing now after that experience of like, you really have it's like taking a class. Like, you've got to study. But if you're not like on social media watching YouTube through builds and just listening to how the 1% of top 1% are playing, like, it's kind of hard to keep up with it. But anyways, the game is definitely catering to everyone, and I'm getting it's kind of frustrating to hear people say that it's not. I get that the power grind's a lot. I work a full-time job. It's not. I can't sit around and play all day. But I can play for a little bit at night, and I'm 320 power. I mean, that's a pretty good chunk. Go from 200 finishing the legendary campaign to 320. That was a grind, and we're still grinding. But there's ways to do that effectively, and if people would just put in a little bit of effort into figuring that part out, you're fine. You're chilling. Like, I don't think it's difficult. I think it's meaningful. I think having to put effort in makes a world of difference, and for that, I am all for it. Anyways, now that my rant's over, that I did not plan on going on, cutting back into the gameplay, I did not deposit 30 there. I'm keeping a mental track of how many engrams I need in this, but I do remember, like, all right, I'm going to bounce out, I'm going to pick up some combo blow, and I'm going to rock with that. And I did mention this earlier, but if you didn't know, combination blow works, the grapple melee itself works this way. By being on prismatic, you, for one, are using class item, because it doesn't work unless you're on prismatic. Super. But also, it makes your grapple arc. So, that being said, it works in tangent with combo blow. So, as you see here, I have 3 stacks of combo blow. I'm going to get 1, maybe 2 off right there. Try and get my melee back here, and boom, it's back. Try not to die. And I probably should have took a look at those numbers, but it is significantly less to go from. Gosh, that was just bad timing with the stop. But anyways, we're sitting for like a 3 phase at this point. I want to say I scuffed up my 3rd phase. And that led me to do a really just like quick 4th phase, but I don't remember. These grapple melees can be kind of awkward. Anyways, it all stacks, and it's additive, so every percentage is just like you go from 400 to 300, or 400 to 500 total from all your buffs and everything else on top of, something like Shield Crush I mentioned earlier, off the artifact. So there's just a lot with that. That really just makes being able to do consistent back-to-back grapple melees so easy. And honestly, to cut back to what I was saying, like, this build is not hard. Now, if you don't have Navigator, that's so understandable. You don't need it. You don't need this build for boss damage. This build can work just as well for any sort of champion, like anything. The only thing that I'm ever running in this is, or as far as champion mods, is anti-barrier. That's it. You have Winter Shroud for really anything, because you you dodge, you kill a small ad with combo blow, or you're stacking up combo blow, and then you dodge again, and your champion's frozen. It's really that simple. The only one that it really struggles against, I would say, because I don't have Ascension on, because I am running Stylish Executioner, is overloads. But guess what? You can freeze them, and you're chilling. It is a little more annoying that way, because as soon as they come unfrozen, they start regening health. But that's just when that would be when you grapple melee into them, and boom, they're dead. So, needless to say, I think that's really all I've got for this video. I'm gonna let this play out. But if you have, for some reason, watched this far into the first real video I've posted, thank you. I don't know where to go from here. I'm not expecting this to get any more than one view from when I show my wife later. But I will say, if some people watch this, that's great. Like I said earlier, I'm going to leave my name in the description. I would love to play with some people and get on that. And also, like I said, I'm in the looks. Yeah, I'm going for the Ingrams in the middle here. Just trying to speed through this. But if you have some PC builds, or just, I've looked on microcenter.com. I've built some stuff on there. Just trying to price things out. Hit me up. I would love to hear about that, because it's something that I have no experience in. Something I really don't understand. But would love to learn more. So, with that being said, I eventually will attempt another solo run of something. At some point, I will go for solo flawless on this. It's definitely doable. I kind of want to try to get a Liars in most light first and really go for that. But I don't know yet. I'm going to have to figure that out. So, besides that, yeah, just hit me up. Let me know down in the comments what you thought about the video, what you would like to see, what you would like to hear. I don't have very many takes, but there are some things that I would like to get off of my chest regarding the game, the community, all the stuff. And yeah, that's it. So thanks. Peace out, I guess. Have a great day.
Let's go!